If you're a researcher, the structure of your article isn't just a format, it's your blueprint. It's the very foundation of your contribution. So today, we're going to deconstruct the core blueprints of scientific writing to help you choose the right one for your work.
You know, it really all boils down to this one question. And the answer isn't about the topic, it's about the deep internal logic of the article itself. Once you understand this logic, choosing the right format for your work becomes so much clearer.
So, here's the first big idea we need to get straight. The subject you're studying does not automatically decide the type of article you should write. That choice, well, it's a strategic one. It's about your purpose, your method, and the kind of impact you're trying to make.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the foundational logic that really defines an article. Then we'll dive into the four main blueprints: the research paper, the review paper, the survey, and the case study. And finally, we'll pull it all together so you can see how to choose the right one for you.
Every single type of scientific article follows a distinct internal logic. And this isn't just random. It's a globally accepted way to present scientific results, one that's defined by a very clear purpose that journals and academic databases instantly recognize. So what actually makes an article a review versus a case study? Well, it really boils down to these 5 core elements: the logic behind the research, what you're actually contributing, the methods you use, where your data comes from, and of course, the ultimate goal of your publication. This is the framework we're going to use. All right, let's look at our first pillar, the research paper. This is probably the most common format you'll see, and its entire purpose is to generate original insights, to create brand new knowledge. Simply put, a research paper is where you publish the results of a study that you, the author, conducted yourself. It's not about summing up what other people have done, it's about adding your own, new, first-hand piece to the scientific puzzle. The flow for a research paper is pretty straightforward. You start with a specific problem or a hypothesis, then you use a rigorous, reproducible method to collect your own primary data. And the result is a deep, detailed analysis where you are fully responsible for the findings. It's a direct contribution to the field. Now for our second pillar, the review paper, which has a completely different logic. If a research paper creates knowledge, a review paper organizes it. It's all about stepping back to see the bigger picture. The absolute key here is that a review paper does not present new experiments. Its value, its contribution, comes from systematically and critically analyzing what has already been published. It's your job to identify the trends, the contradictions, and the gaps in the existing body of work. Let's just put them side by side. A research paper's goal is to generate new knowledge using primary data, and it focuses on depth. A review paper? Its goal is to synthesize existing knowledge using secondary data, and it focuses on breadth. They're 2 different blueprints for 2 very different jobs. Okay, on to our third pillar, the survey paper. Now be careful here. Despite the name, this is fundamentally different from a review. A survey paper is empirical. It actually goes out and generates new primary data. Its whole purpose is to capture a snapshot of what's happening right now. Using methods like questionnaires or interviews, it collects data directly from a big group of people to figure out the prevailing trends, opinions, or practices on a certain topic. So you can see the logic here is really all about scale. The goal is to find patterns across a large, representative sample. The contribution isn't a deep dive into one thing, it's an empirical, statistical picture of a much broader phenomenon. And that brings us to our final pillar, the case study. In a lot of ways, it's the inverse of a survey. Where a survey looks for breadth across many, a case study seeks depth within just one. A case study is all about doing a really intensive, detailed exploration of a single, specific example. You choose this when your goal is to understand complexity and context, the how and the why of a situation, in a way that a big, large-scale study just can't. The point here isn't to generalize your findings to an entire population. No, its power is in the analytical depth. It's about demonstrating how theories and concepts actually work, or maybe don't work, in a specific real-world context. It gives you that rich, qualitative insight. So, we've laid out the 4 pillars. Now, let's bring them all together, because choosing the right blueprint is really about making sure your research question is perfectly aligned with the right structure and the right purpose. This table really sums up the core logic. A research paper creates new knowledge from your own experiments. A review paper organizes existing knowledge from other published works.
A survey paper documents current trends from respondents, and a case study explores a single instance in depth. Just look at that critical split between primary and secondary data. That tells you so much.
And you know, this is what it all comes down to. Your choice isn't just a technical detail, it is a clear statement of your intent. Are you here to add a new piece of data? Are you trying to reorganize the entire field? Or are you testing a theory out there in the real world? So, before you even start thinking about which journal to submit to, you have to define the fundamental logic of your contribution. Choose your blueprint, build your work on that solid foundation, because that is the structure behind powerful, clear, and truly impactful research.